Hey guys, in this video, we'll talk about what is zero trust and the history and motivation of zero trust. Let's check the definition of zero trust. According to the NIST Zero Trust White Paper, zero trust is the term for an evolving set of cybersecurity paradigm that move defenses from static network-based parameters to focus on users, assets, and resources. That's a tough concept. Let's try to understand zero trust definition by finding out what it is and what it's not. First, zero trust is not something that can simply be delivered by implementing a new piece of technology. It's not a product or service or like a component that can be directly embedded into our applications. Zero trust is a way of thinking. It's a strategy, a philosophy. Then what is this strategy about? It's about security. In layman's term, we can say zero trust is a parameterless security. It's a security strategy, and this security strategy actually has three core principles we'll mention later. Now let's check where is zero trust comes from and why it shows up. Zero trust became a hot topic in recent 2 years. The white paper from NIST we mentioned before is one of the major contributors. The standard history we can see for zero trust shows that the first paper with this shift towards the end, which will be parameterless security, appearing in Jericho Farimo's work on deparameterization in the year 2003 to 2004. You might see some documents say that a paper in 1994 mentioned zero trust first, or some model mentioned zero trust in 1995, but basically mainstream considers this as a standard timeline of zero trust. Now let's talk about the motivation of zero trust. To understand zero trust, we need to understand what existed before zero trust came along. Most networks we were or we are using are built like this: a castle. We build the walls as high as possible and try to stop malicious actors at the gate out of castle. Let's say this castle is a company's network. Then our users are like our company's employees, right? Employees' devices are in the company, and network is an internal network. So this model will grant implicit trust to inside users. Devices or inside like applications. But this no longer works because employees are working from home more than they're working from the office. And hybrid cloud is now clearly an indispensable platform for enterprise infrastructure. Employees might connect to organizations' data using internal network and internal device, but they might outside the castle, outside the company. They might connect to the data using any device, any network at anywhere. So at the same time, attackers' approach to attack are upgrading all the time. They can not only steal accounts but also like fake their network IP address. They can act just like an inside user. It's an increasing complex problem to define a castle, to define a parameter. So That's the motivation of Zero Trust. This changing security situation brings us onto the first defining principle of Zero Trust. Never trust, always verify. No matter what network the user is using, even if it's an internal network, no matter what device the user is using, even if it's the one he logs in all the time, that means they are who they say they are, and or they are well-intentioned. So never trust, always verify. This principle refers to the fact that every time something like a user, device, or application tries to make new connections attempt, that attempt should be strictly authorized and authenticated. The other two principles of Zero Trust are based on Principle 1. They are like supplement for Principle 1. So the second principle is least privilege, which means restricting the access and permissions of users and entities. Only grant user and applications the minimum amount of access that they need to perform their job effectively, and no more. That's it. The third principle is assume breach. What does that mean? This principle means that always plan for the worst case scenario and build a robust and tested incident response plan, so that when attacks do occur, the time to respond is rapid and well practiced. Not only this, but this principle actually encourages organizations to shrink the target and shrink the impact zone of an attack through some networking principle like microsegmentation. Microsegmentation basically means divided the data center, the security control, to the segments, so we can make the impact as small as possible if an attack happened. So these are the history and the motivation of Zero Trust. Thanks for watching.